guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 5 on DraftKings kicks off tomorrow morning, and I'm going to talk about 5 players that are projecting at under 5% in large field tournaments so that we can try to get different with our lineups to see if we can't move all the way up the pay scale to the top of the list. You do have to get different in tournaments. You don't have to play it's not a contest to see who can have the lowest cumulative ownership across their lineups, right? Like, oh, look, my lineup adds up to 7.6%. That means I won the Millionaire Maker. No, it doesn't. You can play chalk. You just have to be smartly playing that chalk in the way that you are wrapping stacks around it, correlation around it, and sprinkling in some lower held plays to either leverage the field. If they're playing running backs at this position or playing up for running backs, then you go for cheap running backs. If they're paying up at wide receiver, find a couple cheap wide receivers. So this is the process that I use to try and find some ceiling plays that are projecting at under 5%. And if you wanted to discuss it more or access my cheat sheet, which is out for the week, you need to join our community Discord. That is step number 1. Go to smizzle.tv/Discord. Step number 2, you need to become a channel member here on YouTube or a subscriber over on Twitch, where I stream 6 days. Well, I used to stream 6 days a week. I stream like 4 days a week now. That is $5 a month. You can go to smizzle.tv/join. If you use a desktop, it's only $5 a month. And then you need to link your Discord to whichever site you are paying on. Your name will turn to either red or blue, depending on where you are subbed, and you'll find access in the cheat sheet folder to the Week 5 DraftKings cheat sheet. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. We know that like 35% of you guys who watch this video are not subscribed. So take a couple of seconds, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave me a reply down below telling me who you are looking forward to playing this week, who nobody else is. What are your sneaky plays in week 5? And let's go.
He's a legend.
The Week 5 Smiz Gang Listener League is going to fill again. They made it bigger. It's 500 spots bigger than it was before. However, it's only $10 to enter, so a lot of people want to get in there. It's 3 max, so it's a limited field entry that you can get into, and 0 rake, the best tournament that exists on DraftKings, but you won't find it in the lobby. You got to go to smizzle.tv/links. That'll take you to my link tree where you will find the link to the Listener League, the Discord, my Instagram, my TikTok, the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel, where we do the recap video every single Monday, and I shout out the top 10 in this Smiz Gang Listener League. So make sure that you get in. It's going to fill sometime on Saturday based on the way that it's tracking right now. Only 2,000 spots left. We're already at 2,500 plus. So get in now. The number 1 player, not the number 1, it's just the running back. Like I go running back, then wide receiver, and if there is a tight end that has a ceiling, I usually go with that. So it's not the number 1 under 5 play, but it's the first one we're going to talk about. Raheem Mostert, brother Raheem, is sitting up here, and everybody wants to use the new shiny toy, myself included, in Devon Achane, who has been fantastic, but that ignores the fact that brother Raheem has been fantastic himself. Now, many people are going to look at what happened in week 4, where they got throttled in Buffalo by 28 points, coming off of a game where they throttled Denver by 50 points. And you kind of have to find the middle ground in between that, right? Which would kind of be the usage that he saw against the Chargers in Los Angeles and the usage that he saw against New England in New England, which is great. It's totally fine. The most telling thing for me is that maybe they are starting to use Mostert as more of a pass catching back with 12 targets in the last 2 weeks, where he's never really been utilized that way before. That could be because of Waddle's injury the last 2 weeks, and now he goes back to just a pound the rock sort of guy, but he is too fast, too good in space, with a coach that schemes for that. And the other side being that they were admitted to abandoning the run too early last week against Buffalo. So like, I would not be shocked to see them try and script out like 15 runs in the first 2 quarters of this game. And if the snap share that I project myself to be 60% Achane and 40% Mostert is closer to a 50-50 split, the big play upside that somebody like Raheem has with his speed and his big playability, and as good as this offense is, he could certainly be the better play at $100 more and coming in at 3%, where Achane's projecting at over 25%. So an easy way to leverage not just the entire field, but every single person that's playing Devon Achane by going with brother Raheem. Devontae Smith, he's really good. Can we just talk about how good Devontae is? Like, he's so good. He was amazing in college, one of the best college receivers of all time. Then he comes to the pros and plays opposite an all-pro caliber receiver in A.J. Brown, and still is over on that other side commanding targets and commanding big play, big splash targets like the 37-yard catch that he had against Washington, the 63-yard touchdown that he had against Minnesota. Minnesota does give up a lot of long touchdowns. It's kind of their MO. But Davante is certainly a red zone target for them. And when they get inside the 10-yard line and aren't doing the tush push or the brotherly shove or whatever you want to call it this week, Smith does such a good job at high pointing catches, winning in short spaces or in small spaces, at getting separation, and winning contested catches that his touchdowns are going to be sticky, and this offense is going to be extremely solid. Playing in a climate-controlled place over at SoFi, one of the faster-paced games on the slate. He's projecting at 3% also so far this weekend. So if I can get shares, I kind of like this as a secondary stack because nobody wants to play guys on the Rams and nobody wants to play guys on Philly because there's other spots that are projecting and popping for a higher points per dollar than some of those Rams plays like Puka, Devontae, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts. There's just cheaper ways to go, I guess, on this slate, but we don't care about points per dollar when we're playing tournaments. We don't care about median projections. We care about ceiling opportunity, ceiling possibility, and big play upside, and Devontae brings all of that to the table. Let's go over to Underdog Fantasy. If you've not taken advantage of two things: one, the free $100 that they want to give you. Why won't you just take the $100? Use promo code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE. You get up to a $100 deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site. They have this great feature, these 100K Sundays, where you get entered into it and 10 people are going to win 10K. All you got to do is play. So unders are sharper. I'm betting overs because I'm a donkey and I don't care. So Raheem Mostert over 45.5 rushing yards. He could do that on one play against the Giants. Devontae Smith, 63.5 receiving yards. I think he wins all over the field against the Rams. I think he's going to get over that. And Mark Andrews over 52.5 against the shell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm maxed out at 20 on this one because it's a promo bet. So we're going to take that one. Make sure that you use my promo code. Claim your free $100 today because you're not an idiot. And if they're going to put $100 on the table for you, you should probably pick it up. So go over to Underdog. Check them out today. Chris Olave, 6,900, very nicely priced. Had a flop last week, which daily fantasy players kind of like to follow the trend, right? So if a guy has a good score and he's low held and his price is low, they're going to play him the next week. The price is going to come up. More players are going to play him. The next week, if he has another good week, the price is going to go up. More players are going to play him. So as the performance does well week to week, the amount of players on him goes up week to week. The price goes up week to week, and he becomes a worse tournament play. Well, the opposite's happening here for Chris Olave. I think that this game, I think Tampa Bay is a better defense this year than people want to give them credit for. And maybe they will now that September's gone. But, and we have a little bit of a larger sample size. This is why I say the best time in the NFL season to be contrarian is the first 4 weeks of the season, because we think we know, but like we have no idea until we get a better sample size of who these teams are and how they're going to run offense and how efficient they're going to be on both sides of the football. But also, they didn't play Jameis in this game, probably like they should have, considering that Derek Carr was dealing with a shoulder injury, and they said, we're just going to play through it, and he could not throw. He could not do it. It's why they got 14 targets that went for 33 yards to their running back, Alvin Kamara, who, yes, he's a real thing and a pass-catching threat, but like it's not like he was efficient. They just kept dumping the ball off. Well, assuming that either his shoulder is better this week or they will probably challenge downfield, the opposite of that good play, price up, percentage up, it goes the other way. It works the other way too. So if Chris Olave, who has not scored a touchdown this season, but has had 3 alpha type weeks with a 100-yard bonus, 10 plus targets in 3 of the 4 weeks that he's played this year, but then posted a 1.4, the price comes down. The amount of people that want to play him comes down, but it's not like the upside came down. It's not like his talent has come down. It's not like he's injured. Yes, this is a slow, sloggy bully ball game, but New England just lost their star rookie cornerback, Christian Gonzalez. They just traded for J.C. Jackson, who was roasting toast in Los Angeles. Like, Olave could certainly get loose this week for 6,900 and is only projected at 2%. Sure, I'll be your Huckleberry. I will play Chris Olave at 2% pretty much every time he's 2% because he is one guy who we know has 125 to 150 yard 2-touchdown upside and can certainly be a breaker of slates. I mentioned before that I kind of like the secondary stacks, and this game between the Rams and Philly does project to go very fast. 3 of the games this year, as vaunted as Philly's defense is on reputation, in reality, they've allowed over 285 passing yards in 3 of their 4 games. Well, if Tutu Atwell, whose percentage is projecting at about 3.5% so far this year, or so far this week, is going to be even lower with the news that broke this morning. I record this on Friday morning. It's 11:15 here on the West Coast, the best coast. You have a situation where Cooper Kupp is back. You have to make a decision. Is Cooper Kupp going to play 80% of snaps, 50% of snaps, or 20% of snaps in his first game back from a hamstring injury? If you believe that Cooper Kupp is going to play 80% of the snaps, then disregard this Tutu Atwell play altogether. But if you think that he might play 15 or 20 snaps as they ease him back, coming back from this hamstring, and hamstrings, as we know, have a history of reoccurring, Tutu Atwell has done nothing wrong this season and has done a lot of things right to earn 9 targets a week the last 3 weeks and 8 targets in week 1 against Seattle. Philadelphia gives up a lot of air yards, some of them being prayer yards as people throw downfield and they break passes up. And there's a lot of pressure that can get applied to somebody like Matthew Stafford. But if Tutu Atwell at under 5% and you pair him with Devontae Smith at under 5% as a ridiculously low owned, high ceiling secondary stack, there's a lot of power to that if things do break your way or our way on that secondary. And the last player that we talk about before we get over to the solver and look at how things get built over there is TJ Hockenson at 6,500. Kelsey is going to be very popular. Tight ends people want to spend down on. This is the highest scored game on the week. This is the highest totaled game on the main slate. It is a shorter 10-game slate. And it's either going to be people pay all the way up to go get Travis Kelsey, or they come all the way down and pay for one of the 2,900 to 3,500 tight ends. That seems to be where the majority of the roster construction builds are taking people, which means to me that TJ Hockenson is certainly a guy that we can kind of get into. We know that he has 25-point plus upside. We've seen 40+ points from him in the past. His targets outside of week 3 have been extremely secure, going all the way back to when the Vikings got him last season, including all those games that have JJ out there. He is the second target on this team. Then comes Osborne, then comes Addison, then comes the running backs. It's basically JJ, Hockenson, and then whoever else might be open. So if this game does go nuclear and there are 60 or 70 real life points, you can bet that Hockenson is going to have at least some part of it. We have to hope for a shootout here if that is the case, and it's a way to differentiate off of the high percentage that will be on Travis Kelsey, with 4% of the field projected to be on TJ Hockenson. You can pay up for the differentiator tight end, possibly at 20% lower of the market share. Let's head over to the solver, and if you do not have an account over at thesolver.com, you can use my link at smizzle.tv/solver. That will take you over there. It's a lineup builder. Much like any other one, they are a great tool. However, they have this amazing Sims addition that goes onto it that kind of does all the calculations for you to see where the field is projected to be and how your lineups can differentiate based on the tournaments that you play. Same rules that I've always set over on Fantasy Labs, still existing here over on the solver. And I've built this one player group with Devontae Smith, Chris Olave, TJ Hockenson, Raheem Mostert, and Tutu Atwell. We are going to go over here. We are going to build this into 150 lineups. And like I said, like anything else, it's a tool that can help you be more efficient, that can help you pick better lineups, be it for single entry or mass multi-entry, whether you're a high dollar player or a low dollar player. So I wish you the best of luck this weekend. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.